might want to flight a shot down or something like that. He was very good at just sort of picking, no, it's a 7, not the 8, or whatever it was, and that was really good. And then just seeing the way he thought about playing, obviously the playoff events, Turkey, Nedbank, and Dubai. The way he thought around those golf courses, obviously he's seen them enough times that it was kind of good to see. I guess he's caddied for Paul and Martin around those tracks. So seeing how those guys more went about it, and seeing how that was different to me and potentially how I can get better, was really good. And yeah, just that, I guess that element of seeing how the best guys operate with their caddy and that sort of thing. Obviously, I didn't see it, but you kind of feel like you're interacting, and he's taking the lead a bit. It's kind of hard to explain, but you just get that experience of feeling like you're a top 10 player in the world, I guess. So yeah, he's been quite helpful.
Do we have any other? Oh yeah, just at the back for Adam.
I was just down on the 16th hole, the party hole with the beach and the pool and that. You're a guy who loves the party. If you get a hole-in-one there on the weekend, how cool would that be?
Well, I reckon I might go and get in that beach club if I made a hole-in-one on the weekend. Yeah, I quite like it. A few people have had different ideas of how to change, I guess, the image of the game, or how to make golf more fun. And something like, it looks like what the beach club's going to be like, and the party hole, as it was last year, I think are great. Sometimes I think as golfers we need to just relax, chill out a little bit, and maybe not let that a drunk guy in the background yelling out affect us too much. And those guys are all here enjoying it, and in a lot of ways allowing us to play for the money and on the venues, on the tours that we do. So yeah, I think it's great. I think I'd love to see more of it. It'll be interesting to see with the Vic Open next year what sort of stuff those guys do down there, and how we, and I guess even going into the future, how we make golf events more fun for guys to come to and more attractive for young kids to get out and watch.
And ever since I first played with you, you always struck me as a very confident, brash player. Where does that confidence come from?
I don't really know. It's just I guess just more of a personality trait, really. Like, I've never really had too much drama with public speaking. I'm sitting here in front of you guys, obviously not right now, and not stressing too much. Like, after the first couple of times of hitting shots in front of 10 people, 15 people, it's the same thing now. So I think it's probably more of a personality trait, I guess. Rather, I don't know that I really learnt it anywhere. It's probably one of those things that you're just born with. You're either born with that, that no fear of what I guess people think, or no fear of failure in those sort of settings, or you're not.
Any other questions? Yep, just here. No, behind you.
Lucas, you played a practice round with Tiger earlier in the year at Carnoustie. Can you just tell us what that was like and what you learnt from that?
Yeah, I haven't answered this question many times. It was awesome. I think, like I've said plenty of other times, Tiger was great. We played with Bryson DeChambeau as well, who was great. And I mean, to be honest, I chatted to Tiger more about stuff that was not really golf related than how we thought to hit a golf shot, or how we played a certain hole, or anything like that. I mean, how many times has he been asked about the chip in at Augusta, or the putty hole on the 18th at Torrey Pines? I sort of just wanted to take a different approach and keep it more chilled out. But it was nuts in that just how many people were there for a practice round on a Tuesday. I was sort of this metre live away from my coach, Dom, walking to the second tee, and we had to yell at each other because people were just that loud, yelling at Tiger, giving him support. I said to his caddy walking off the second tee, I'm like, is it like this every week? Because how do you guys get anything done? So, yeah, I mean, that was cool. Yeah, he was just a funny guy. He's just a really cool, funny guy. But yeah, I'd love to go and just have dinner with him and talk about nothing to do with golf again. He's one of those sort of guys.
All right, Lucas, thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck this week, and we hope to see you in here again.
Thank you.
All righty, are we all set at the back? Perfect.
Good, you?
All right, Lucas, thank you so much for joining us here in the Media Centre at the Australian PGA Championship. It's been an incredible year for you, playing over on the European Tour, a lot of top 10 finishes, securing your playing card for the next season. Talk to us about how good it feels to come back home after having achieved so much.
Yeah, it's really good. You know, at the start of the year, I would have loved to have come back for the Australian Open and the New South Wales Open as well, but unfortunately played my way into some bigger events and probably made sense for me to play those. So I'm glad that you know, nothing sort of clashes this week and I'm able to get back and play in front of a home crowd up on the Gold Coast where I had a good result last year, and you know, it's just a really nice way to finish off the year given the way I've played.
Tomorrow's Yellow Day in memory of Jared Lyle, and I know that he was quite special to you and you were good mates with him, and you've got a beautiful yellow bag this week that you're going to be auctioning off for charity. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I couldn't really find any yellow clothes, so I thought I'd just go straight to the top and just get a yellow bag. So I managed to source one. So yeah, I've got that just sort of to obviously remember Jared, and yeah, we're going to try and do something with that on Saturday afternoon, and you know, put the money towards Jared's family, and you know, hopefully give them sort of the, you know, everything that they need now that Jared's gone. Obviously, it's going to be a hard process for them with two young kids. So yeah, I hope I can do a little bit to sort of help them with Jared gone.
Excellent questions.
Lucas, what would it mean to you to win this week? Or you've been there and thereabouts all year. What would it mean to break through, especially on home soil?
Yeah, well, I mean, I haven't won an event yet, so definitely to win one is going to be really special. And the fact that it would be here in Australia at the Australia PGA, yeah, it'd be huge. I mean, I was just sort of reading Greg Norman's book the last few weeks, and he always said he wanted to come back to Australia and be seen as a winner in Australia. So I thought, you know, that resonated with me a lot. I'd love to come back here and win our events if I go on to have the career that I hope to have. So yeah, to kick it off here on the Gold Coast would be great.
And you mentioned Joe Lyle before. Like, I mean, you guys crossed paths many times. Like, you had a similar background.
Yeah, well, so Jared obviously was from Shepherd and I was from Bendigo, so two country kids. He moved to Commonwealth Golf Club, I moved to Commonwealth Golf Club to play pennant, and then obviously quite a different time frame there, but you know, he went on to obviously get to the PGA Tour and do what he's done, so I'd love to follow in his footsteps, but I think more or less Jared really, he's the sort of person that I'd like to be. You know, he was always just that country guy, no matter where he got to in the world and what tournaments he was playing in. He was everyone, you know, no one had a bad word to say about him. He was always such a lovely guy to whoever he came across. Everyone always had a lot of time for him. He always had a lot of time for everyone, and he never forgot where he came from. So, you know, so much of that is what I want to be like as a person, not just as a golfer. So, you know, that's why I feel, you know, quite a loss with Jared not being here anymore.
You played 2 rounds with Uniels in Fiji. What did you learn from playing with the Big Easy?
I learned I was a chance for the President's Cup. No, I mean, obviously, it was just good to see how he went about playing in the wind. Obviously, when you play in the wind, that tends to be where, if you're playing with some more experienced guys, a guy like Ernie, you tend to learn a little bit because, you know, they have done this 1,000 times, and it's not necessarily about physical power or so much of, you know, there's not stuff that a 22-year-old can do that how old's Ernie? I don't want to say the wrong age here.
He's turning 50 next year.
He is? Oh, that's right, he is. I'll say 49-year-old then for him. There's not things that a 49-year-old can't do that I can do, so that's an area where you can get so much experience from seeing him play in the wind, and that was really cool to do. And it was just good to chat to him and obviously get to know him, have him get to know me a little bit, so that, you know, if I do put myself in the running next year for the President's Cup, you know, he's got a face to match to the name, and he's seen my game, so he knows, you know, what I've got to offer.
There's a whole heap of you Aussie young guns roughly around the same age. Can you talk us about like the brotherhood there and how you help each other, and you seem to be all coming through at the same time. Can you talk to us about the bond you have with all those guys?
Yeah, there's obviously, I mean, there's almost like 2 or 3 waves coming through, just depending on the age bracket. You know, we had Nathan Holman win here 2015, I think it was, and that was sort of one wave, and then now it's kind of like my waves coming through of like myself, Jake McLeod, Anthony Quayle, Curtis Luck. We sort of all sort of turned at the same time, and then now you've almost got a new wave with Dave Micheluzzi, Zach Murray, a lot of these other good young amateur kids that are coming through it. I know it doesn't seem like much of a difference to you guys, but for me it feels like, you know, the guys that I was playing against that were exactly my age are a bit different from the guys a couple of years older, a couple of years younger. But like you said, we all like to help each other out. You know, I congratulated Zach after he won in WA and played really well in Queensland. And I mean, I'm no veteran out here, but I just said, like, if he wants my advice on anything, I'm happy to help him out. Travelling, we always, you know, there's always. Leash and Cam spoke about it last night, the Greg Norman medal. There's that bond between the Aussie guys out there. It's pretty similar in Europe. It's not uncommon on a Tuesday when we're all getting, you know, lunch or whatever, for all of us to be sitting, you know, together and chatting about whatever's going on. So, yeah, for some reason, I mean, most nations do it, but Australia seems to be really good at sort of all sticking together once we get out there on tour and making each other feel like we're at home.
You had a hit yesterday with Anthony Quayle and you're about to play the Pro-Am. What do you make of the course and how it's set up this year?
Yeah, again, like Cam said last night, the more this place matures with the changes and everything that's made, the better it is with, you know, the grass just really taking into the roots. And you know, that I think this year it feels like the grain in the greens is quite a lot thicker. It's like the grass is almost lusher, so that's going to come into play a lot with chipping around the greens, you know, whether you're chipping back into the grain or down grain. But yeah, I mean, it's in great shape. Obviously it's a perfect climate up here with a lot of sunshine, so yeah, it's in great nick. It's going to test us this week if the wind's up. It's going to really test us with some of those shots into the greens.
Murray.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the year that you've had. It's just been a mad year, hasn't it? Just non-stop, and you're finally home. Do you reflect as you go, or do you just sort of ride the wave until it's over? Like, how do you handle it?
Yeah, I think it's not until you sort of get home that you start reflecting, because yeah, it's sort of out there at the time. It just feels like you're just rolling one week into the next, you know. So I guess, yeah, it's when you get home and you guys kind of tend to ask, oh, what's your year been like, that you actually sort of sit back and think, oh yeah, actually, yeah, it was a pretty cool year, yeah. You know, I obviously had 6, 7 top 10s, something like that. I just couldn't quite break through, you know, and get that win. But for my first year out, playing off a lot of invites and being quite, it was quite unorganised in a lot of ways. I was getting invites on Sunday nights for the next week, you know. So to be able to play the way I did off the back of all that was very pleasing.
Was there a moment in your travels that stands out, like whether on or off the course, like a hairy moment or a memorable thing that's happened that you just think, what's going on here?
Well, I think just like from being a really cool moment, I qualified for the US Open, like 36-hole qualifier, and we were sort of, I was last out in the draw and had my best mate on the bag, and we were sort of strolling around, and like it feels like, because you've got to shoot pretty low, so it feels like everyone's kind of a long way in front, but we just hadn't played enough holes to sort of, you know, catch up. And then you know, I think I shot 5 or 6 under in the morning, and then we're sort of just watching the scores for the rest of the day whilst we're out there, and it just eventually it was like, all right, we just, you know, let's go and make 3 solid pars here, and then I went and I'd go and make birdie or something like that and get even further in front, and then, you know, I hit it's like a fairway bunker shot into like the 4th last hole, and it was this tricky one where it could get me into a lot of trouble if I didn't quite execute it. I hit a really good shot to like 15 feet, and we both sort of looked at each other and we're like, we're going to the US Open. And I think that sort of stands out for me as like one of the coolest sort of memories of the year, is, you know, sort of experiencing a moment like that with a really good mate.
Bryony.
Sorry, can you tell us what you've learned in Europe with having Craig Connolly on the bag, and what he helps bring to your game? Obviously, you've been with Martin Keimer for the last few years and won majors and won a lot of events. How has he influenced your game in the past few months? Yeah,
it was good to get some experience from the wee man. is just very good on club selection. With if you got sort of a little bit of wind into you and you're trying to work out, you obviously